how does time travel work in Harry Potter? Hey, brother! Guys, last week on our podcast, Through the Griffin Door, we dove into chapter 21 of Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione's Secret, which, if you don't remember, is the pivotal chapter where we finally uncover how Hermione has been attending multiple classes simultaneously all year, and just as importantly, find a way to save both Buckbeak and Sirius before the night is out. Now, I'm not gonna lie, time travel for me, usually one of those plot devices that can drive me crazy, but Prisoner of Azkaban does it so brilliantly that it might just be my favorite take on time travel, ever. Oh, let's go get the Infinity Stones. Whoops, it's a do-over. Yay. I mean, I loved Endgame, who am I kidding?
I knew it.
But in the wizarding world, this feat is achieved through the use of a time turner, a delicate hourglass necklace that lets the wearer rewind time, turn it back 1 hour per spin, allowing them to relive or alter a period of time up to a certain limit. And in this chapter, Harry and Hermione use the time turner to spectacular effect, altering events just enough to change the course of the night. Or do they? Or did they already? Well, yes and no. See, in Harry Potter, the rule is that whatever happened always happened. And trust us, we've puzzled through this 5 zillion times to make sense of it ourselves. But we noticed that this concept might not have been clear in our last episode, especially when we say the phrase, whatever happened, always happened. We got a lot of comments asking us to explain that bit a little bit more. Which is totally fair. I mean, time travel can get hairier than Hagrid's best suit once you start pulling on the threads. So today, we're going to do our best to smooth out those wrinkles and set the record straight, or backwards, or both, or time travel. Hey, brother! But speaking of Through the Griffin Door, Through the Griffin Tour is coming back next February, where we are taking on the Southeast. We will be going to Charlotte, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Nashville, and tickets are already on sale now. I am so excited to come see you guys, for you to come see the show. We will have Jay versus Ben. We'll do a live episode of the podcast. We'll have some Q&A. There is a VIP meet and greet. It's going to be a blast. Hope to see you there. Link to the tickets are in the description. Okay, so time travel in Harry Potter looks confusing at first because it seems to violate what's known as the bootstrap paradox. And the bootstrap paradox, if you don't know, is the paradox in which information or a person or an object sent back in time creates an infinite loop where the person or the object has no observable origin. And perhaps the time turners do violate this a little bit, but it does so in a very clean way that seems to still make sense to me. But so a common example of the bootstrap paradox is that, let's say you travel back in time to 1800 and hand Beethoven a page of sheet music. He goes on to be incredibly famous for creating that music. Then fast forward 200 years and you hear that music and you're so inspired that you travel back in time and hand the music to Beethoven, who wrote the music? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? The reason it all gets so confusing in Harry Potter, though, is because of how everything is worded, written, and presented to you, the reader, in the name of keeping the big reveal intact at the end, which is, of course, that Harry himself is the one who cast the Patronus to save himself, and Sirius, and Hermione. It was a good time to figure that one out. As a refresher though, after the initial round of events in Prisoner of Azkaban, where Lupin transforms, Peter escapes, and Sirius nearly gets his soul sucked out by the Dementors, Harry and Hermione end up in the hospital wing. And it is there where Dumbledore tells them, "If all goes well, you'll be able to save more than one innocent life tonight. But remember this, both of you must not be seen. Miss Granger, you know the law. You know what is at stake. You must not be seen." The two lives in question are obviously Buckbeak and Sirius, but here's the hilarious irony about this exact moment, is that by the time Dumbledore is telling them to go back in time and do this, Sirius has already escaped with Buckbeak with Harry and Hermione's help. 5 seconds after that moment where Dumbledore tells them they need to go back in time, he leaves the room and finds the second versions of Harry and Hermione outside the door, having just completed the mission he gave them. But from their point of view, we know it took them 10 minutes to get back to the hospital wing from Sirius's departure. So by the time Dumbledore tells them they need to go save Sirius, they already have, and I just think that's funny. Now, does that mean that everything that happens after Dumbledore has given them their assignment is unnecessary? Well, the answer is no, like definitely not, because even though the mission is already complete, they still have to go and complete it. Make sense? And that's it, end of video. No, I'm just kidding. We'll keep going. Y'all, right there, we need to take a brief pause to talk about today's sponsor, Marvel Snap, which I am so excited about. Like, zero exaggeration. This is my game. I play it every single day. I've reached Infinity status 5 times, which is like, hitting level 100 during the ladder period. Like, no big deal or anything, but it is such a fun game. And if you're unaware, Marvel Snap is an award-winning collectible card game that combines deep strategy, a unique snapping mechanic, your favorite Marvel characters, and thousands of unique card art variants created by renowned artists to collect and use. So you may already know this about me, but I have always been a huge trading card game fan, but often the hardest part is finding the time to set aside to find an opponent, get all the little bits out, sit down and play an entire game. But Marvel Snap is the perfect bite-sized option because each game only takes 3 minutes and there's never downtime because turns are played simultaneously. Like, you're never waiting for your opponent to go where you're just sitting there like, well, nothing for me to do right now. Plus, I get to scratch my collector's itch because there are more than 270 cards in the game with over 2,000 different unique art variants to collect, and the artwork is incredible. Like, personally, I'm a big fan of the art germ style. I mean, just look at this Killmonger. Look at him. Look at him. Oh my God. Honestly, I'm just such a huge fan of this game. I'm currently running what's called a bounce deck where you play down cards and then like bounce them back to your hand so you can reactivate all the effects. And there's nothing better than reprocking your Rocket Raccoon over and over and your opponent is just like pulling their hair out like, how am I going to beat this thing? But honestly, I could go on about it for hours, but there's 12 cards in a deck. I'll include a link to my current bounce deck in the description down below, but seriously, just go check it out. It's so much fun. You will not regret it. You can download the Marvel Snap app, now available in the App Store, Google Play, and Steam, or visit marvelsnap.com to learn more. The point is, upon your first read, it's easy to think that on the first round of events, Buckbeak actually was killed. I mean, it all but says that. There was a jumble of indistinct male voices, a silence, and then, without warning, the unmistakable swish and thud of an axe. They did it! Hermione whispered to Harry. I don't believe it, they did it! Then, behind them, they heard a wild howling. Hagrid, Harry muttered. I mean, why else would McNair still swing the axe? And why would Hagrid be howling, right? Like, it reads like Buckbeak did die, except, thankfully, Harry and Hermione go back in time and are able to stop it from happening at all on the second pass. But that is not the case. Buckbeak is never murdered at all on either pass, because on both passes, Harry and Hermione are back in time. They are always there the first time. Time travel in Harry Potter does not operate like it does in Marvel or something, where when you go back in time, you start this like second branching timeline or some sort of butterfly effect. Like, Hermione actually says it best. What happened? We were walking down to Hagrid's 3 hours ago. This is 3 hours ago, and we are walking down to Hagrid, said Hermione. We just heard ourselves leaving. It is 3 hours ago, happening on the same timeline as the first time where they were also there. Now we just have more context, like a different perspective on the same scene. So why did McNair swing the axe? Why would Hagrid be howling? There was a swishing noise and the thud of an axe. The executioner seemed to have swung it into the fence in anger. And then came the howling. And this time they could hear Hagrid's words through his sobs. Gone, gone, bless his little beak, he's gone. Must have pulled himself free. Beaky, you clever boy. And yes, we do know for sure that Harry and Hermione were there the first time around because obviously Harry sees himself casting the Patronus later on. That's what we mean though when we said whatever happened always happened, but it also comes with some interesting observations while we're in the interim before the big Dementor attack. On numerous occasions during this time period, Harry, who is brand new to this whole time travel thing, is absolutely determined to go interfere with the flow of time. "How can you stand this?" he asked Hermione fiercely. "Just standing here, watching it happen." He hesitated. "I'm gonna go grab the cloak." "Harry, no!" Hermione seized the back of Harry's robes, and not a moment too soon. It's a weird example because Hermione does stop Harry, but stopping Harry has oddly become part of the laws of time. Like, Harry couldn't go and get the cloak because he didn't the first time either. Snape needs the cloak to stealthily enter the Shrieking Shack. Snape does that the first time, which means Hermione prevented Harry from going and snatching it the first time as well, which means he never, ever, ever could have gone and collected it. And it makes sense because if he'd gone and done that, he might have changed the outcome of the entire evening, meaning he might not have traveled back in time at all. Like, if he'd grabbed the cloak, it may have stopped him from saving himself, meaning he never would have traveled back, meaning he couldn't have grabbed the cloak or existed in that moment to even consider it. Definitely getting into like the wimbly-wombly parts of it, aren't we? Maybe think of it like this. In an odd way, once someone has used the time turner, a certain amount of predestination is in effect. Like, your past selves will make it to the point where the time turner is turned because you made it to that point, and whatever happened always happened. And save for Harry saving himself with the Patronus, it's all beyond certain that you already didn't encounter you. Let's tackle it from another angle. Before they go back, Dumbledore tells Harry and Hermione they need to act quickly because Sirius is about to receive the Dementor's kiss. Which, again, unbeknownst to them, he's already been saved. But the important part, time turner wise, is Dumbledore needs them to hurry because if Sirius had been kissed, there would be nothing the time turner could do about it. If Sirius gets kissed, they can't go back and stop him from getting kissed because they would have just done it the first time because the second versions of themselves would have always been there doing that the first time. Like, that's basically what happens with Buckbeak. Like, does that make sense? Like, if Sirius is kissed, that always happened. But if they go back before he's kissed, like they do, there is still time to stop it from happening. On this note though, Hermione also brings up an odd warning to Harry just after they go back. "Professor McGonagall told me what awful things have happened when wizards have meddled with time. Loads of them ended up killing their past or future selves by mistake." Well, Hermione, I am afraid to tell you that that was a lie, or at the very least incorrect, or at the very, very least needs further clarification. Because like, you could not actually go back in time and kill yourself. That I am certain of. Because if you did, then in your first present time, future you would have appeared as always and killed you. But then you'd have been unable to make it to the future where you traveled back to do so. I suppose the reverse could happen. Like, you could go back in time and then your past self could kill the future version of you. That could happen, but that would be really weird because then the version that killed you would always still make it to the point where they traveled back in time to be killed by their past self. So you just sort of have this like looming like, oh no, I know what's coming problem. And there's not much you can do about it. And you might think, yeah, there is something you can do about it. You who just killed yourself can just in the future choose not to travel back in time. Duh. But that's where you're wrong, because this is where time would somehow force you to. There would be literally no other option, because everything that happens always happens. I mean, I guess I'll concede that possibly there are other kinds of wizard time travel we are unaware of, or something else could happen, but this is how the time turner works. In any case though, let's get back to the bootstrap paradox of it all, because the other snag people get stuck on is the first loop. Like, how could Harry 2 be back in time to save Harry 1 with the Patronus if Harry 1 hasn't lived to the point where he goes back in time yet? Or conversely, how could Harry 1 live to the point where he goes back in time if Harry 2 doesn't step in and save him? Like, sure, once the loop starts, then it all makes sense that it would just keep going, but like, what about the first time? But it's like we said, everything that happened always happened. And yes, that does mean there is a slight amount of predestination happening for that particular 3-hour time period. But it's not as if you don't still have free choice leading up to that. Meaning, Harry isn't controlled into making the choices he makes. He doesn't know the time turner is going to happen. It's just that all of his choices will lead him to using the time turner because they did lead him there. In the same vein, after using the time turner, Harry is of course free to do whatever he wants, but he won't make any choices that change how he experienced things the first time around, because if he did, he already would have. So it's like this: if you don't see yourself the first time, you won't be seen by yourself the second time. Make sense? Of course, leave it to Harry. He does find an odd loophole where he does see himself, but mistakes himself for his father, but then realizes at the last moment that it was him, which makes him realize he is capable of producing the Patronus. Which sounds like yet another paradox where Harry is only able to gain the confidence needed for the spell by knowing he already did it, but how could one possibly be true without the other?
I knew I could do it this time because, well, I'd already done it. Does that make sense?
No!
The answer is, though, that Harry was simply always capable of doing the spell, and in fact, had already done so back at the Quidditch match. He just didn't get to see it because he was too busy winning the match. Like a boss. I hope that all makes sense. I'm trying to explain it from as many different angles as possible, and maybe one will stick, but in a nutshell, everything that happens the first time is exactly the same as what happens when you travel back in time. The traveling back in time just provides context for lots of the how everything happened. Once a time turn is in effect, there is a certain amount of predestination that will lead you to that same moment, but it does not rob you of your free will. It's like Dumbledore says, "Hasn't your experience with the time turner taught you anything, Harry? The consequences of our actions are always so complicated, so diverse, that predicting the future is a very difficult business indeed." Well said, Dumbledore. Well said. Guys, don't forget, tickets for Through the Griffin Tour Southeast are on sale now. Link in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like on it if you haven't already. And if you want to find out, did the time turner age Hermione during that year? Like, is she older than she's supposed to be? Check out this video right here. But otherwise, Ben, until next time, I will see you in another life, brother.